You're scaring them.
Just tell them I'm all sorry. You can tell them.
Because drugs can make kids die and go away. Then there'll be no best friends to play basketball with.
I used to love sitcoms, particularly ones from the 90s and early 2000s. That was the era, I think, that really nailed the classic TV tropes that people had come to know and love since the 50s. Episodes were streamlined, formulaic, and efficient. Watching them was comforting in a way. You always knew what would happen, and few, if any, of your preconceived notions about the characters were ever questioned. I've seen every episode of Seinfeld, Friends, Everybody Loves Raymond, and Frasier, and with Frasier at least 2 or 3 times. And though the shows I just mentioned were my favorites, I've also watched tons, if not all, episodes of other shows from the last 50 years, from MASH to Fresh Prince to even The Big Bang Theory. And looking back at those hours and hours of precious time spent, I've come to one conclusion, and not a very original one either. Sitcoms just aren't very good. Okay, now before I get into it, we gotta establish some rules here. I'm only gonna be talking about multi-camera sitcoms in this video. Those are the ones filmed on a big stage, usually with a studio audience. So, while The Office is by all means a sitcom, will I be talking about it in this video?
No, God!
Bazinga!
My mother caught me.
Caught you doing what?
You know. I was alone.
The Contest is arguably the most well-known episode of Seinfeld. It aired way back in November of 1992, and the subject matter at hand... what the episode's about had never been addressed on a show like this before.
But are you still master of your domain?
I am king of the county.
You know, in case you haven't seen this one, they're talking about whacking off.
I come home and find my son treating his body like it was an amusement park.
The premise of the episode is the gang makes a bet to see who can last the longest without giving in.
Well, I know I could hold out longer than you.
Care to make it interesting?
And the episode turned out to be a smash hit.
When that show aired, we became what is now called a water cooler show.
Look, I'm no prude, alright? Have you seen the video I made about weird animal sex? I'm not offended by a little tickle talk, you feel me? But the truth is, I have trouble laughing at this stuff these days. Like probably a lot of you watching, I've learned a lot about the negative consequences of masturbation, porn, and casual sex lately. I mean, the facts are in, folks, and they're grim. For a lot of reasons, I just can't take the idea of the 5-finger shuffle so lightly anymore. And it's not like these characters were ever presented as role models like in other sitcoms. Seinfeld was unique in its day in that the gang was in fact not sympathetic.
You bad man! You very bad man!
I mean, I don't get mad when Dennis talks about his rapey stuff because, like, that's the point of the joke. He's a bad
The
guy.
answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Sexual adventures, like other adventures, are dangerous.
My problem with the episode is how it's insisted that everyone masturbates, which just isn't the case.
And we have to do it. It's part of our lifestyle.
The idea that it's normal is insulting, not just to the religious, like the cheese man here, but to anyone who has overcome any vice. And I get that the 90s were a different time. Back then, masturbation didn't necessarily include porn, and abstinence and chastity then weren't basically political statements like they are now. But you know, the world has changed a lot in the last few years, thanks 2016, for ruining fun and pop culture for everyone, dividing the entire world into left and right, starting with the entertainment industry. I mean, really, I suppose the heart of it.
You're wasting your time. You think anyone's going to see this? You think anyone actually cares? You think about a show from 30 years ago?
Don't listen to him, Dalton. You have something to say, and there are lots of successful analysis channels out there. I'm sure someone will want to see this.
You're so pathetic and wrong. This video will be right.
obvious and unspoken that you two are only seeing each other? Whether or not it's intentional, this is social messaging that has an effect on society and how people live their lives, especially if those people are young and impressionable.
I don't like
watching television.
It's coarse and rough and irritating.
The shows are mostly bad.
Turn back the clock to the good old days, back when the world was perfect. Welcome to 1951. Harry Truman is president. An anime hasn't even been invented yet. So suffice to say, you're feeling pretty good, especially since your new science fiction novel, your first foray into creative writing outside of short stories and periodicals, is selling like hotcakes. Can you guess who you are? We're about to find out. Put 10 seconds on the clock, Donnie.
It's just gonna be a wild guess, but I have a 25% chance of getting it right.
You do indeed?
I'm just gonna go with Bill Clinton?
No. Author Theodore Sturgeon was a little upset his genre was often being poo-pooed by critics. Science fiction just wasn't taken very seriously in the 50s, which gave old Teddy a case of the crazy eyes. Most of the exact details are lost to history, but the legend goes that at a New York University talk in the aforementioned 1951, he said, basically,
yeah, 90% of science fiction is crap, but 90% of everything is crap, so...
And thus, Sturgeon's Law was born.
It is me, Mario!
By now, you're probably asking yourself what any of this has to do with sitcoms. Well, even without my moral objections, Frasier is by all means a well-written show. But according to Sturgeon's Law, for every Frasier, there are 9 according to Jim's. For every Seinfeld, there are 9 Two Broke Girls, which certainly seems to ring true if you've watched a lot of TV. I said at the beginning of the video that sitcoms aren't very good, which by and large is true. 90% are absolute crap. But this naturally raises a lot of questions. How do you know if what you're making is going to be in that good 10%? And what if you're Jim Belushi? Do you give up? Or do you keep making a subpar product with disregard?
You talk like you're not in the 90%. You know the truth. More than anyone.
The important thing is you're trying. You're making the video and getting better while you do it.
But you're never going to get any better. You're just another Jim Belushi. You'll still never be good enough.
You're nothing like Jim Belushi. You care. And what you do is art. People will appreciate it someday.
Even those in the 90% can make a good living making mediocrity. I mean, look at Jim Belushi. But would you want to be a Jim Belushi? Is it even worth doing if it's not good? Would you settle for making a home improvement when Seinfeld is on the air at the same time? And as an audience, are enough people content with shows that are just okay to make giving the George Lopez show 6 seasons a good financial decision?
What's a period?
So, in a way, is it not our fault television is so bad?
Yeah.
I'll take your $60 and I'll get the rest from your wages at the Peacock.
Let's have the money. Come on.
All right, hey, it's cool, dude. Carlton, give him the money. Hey, look, that's all we got, man. That's it. I got some more in my wallet.
Take your hands out of your pockets. Take your hands out of your pockets.
The future is now, and multi-camera sitcoms are on the edge of extinction. What can be said about the death of a television staple? Will it be missed? Probably not. I mean, what do we even have now? Fuller House? The Ranch? Yeah, okay. I've seen like a dozen episodes of Last Man Standing, and it's passable, I guess. In the big picture, TV is still a pretty new medium, and it seems to me sitcoms served as a transition between stage plays and the more sophisticated comedies we know today. Think of the era of the multi-camera sitcom as television comedy's awkward teenage phase.
You spent 3 months on this video, and this garbage is all you have to show for it? Pathetic. You're embarrassing yourself.
These kinds of videos take a lot of time to edit, and good quality is its own reward.
Shut up! The only rewards worth anything are views and cash, and you'll never get either. This video is crap. This editing is crap, and you're crap. You'll never get anywhere, so why don't you just give up now? Give up! Give up!
Any time was being watched by someone else.